African man walked into a kitchen, that's a paradox. That's a paradox because African men do not walk into kitchens. What for? Maybe to wash their hands, maybe to get some water from the fridge. African men do not walk into the kitchen to cook. You know why? Because that's how things have always been. That's how things have always been growing up. We didn't see our fathers, we didn't see our father figures getting into the kitchen and cooking. An African man walking into a kitchen was taboo. My name is Brezhnev Paul Banda. I'm an advertising creative and agency owner. The question that a lot of men ask me with pertaining to cooking is, so you want me to provide and cook the food at the same time? And my answer is always the same. Yes. Yes, exactly. That's what we're saying. That's what we want to do. Yes, you can provide. And yes, you can also cook the food at the same time. You're already serving in another way by providing for your family. It's the same thing. You're just continuing to serve your family. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm also the author of the book, An African Man Walked Into a Kitchen, which is my first book. It's a cookbook for African men. And what prompted me to write it was basically, realizing how politicized the African kitchen was and why African men in particular, just weren't cooking. And I thought, there's a problem. And I'm a very practical person. I said, okay, there's a problem. What can we do about it? And I wrote this book, An African Man Who Walked Into a Kitchen, just as a way of trying to help, other men. I myself, I know my way around the kitchen. I'm, not a chef by any chance, but I know my way around. And I wanted to share what I knew, what I know, and what I've learned over the years with other men. And that's what prompted me to write the book. Outside, of course, just a love of food and some measure of writing skill. Maybe that's what gave me the confidence to go ahead with it. What I can say inspired me was really being in my mother's kitchen at a young age. She let me run around the kitchen and help her growing up. And later on, as I grew up, she let me experiment. When I took a keen interest in cooking, she let me experiment in her kitchen. And those were some pretty bad experiments, but it gave me my knowledge of my way around the kitchen. And as I grew up, I realized that my peers didn't have as much knowledge of the kitchen as I did. And how I started writing the book was through a blog that I started on social media, and I was just encouraging more men to take up cooking. The blog was called Real Men. And that started my journey and my inspiration into eventually writing a book. I think when I got married, I really began to understand the politics around the African kitchen. That it's not just cooking, it's not just men entering the kitchen. It's more political than that. It's a much bigger issue, but a lot of history behind it. There's a reason why men don't cook. But nonetheless, having said that, there's no reason why they shouldn't cook as we get into the 21st century. Luckily enough, I think as my father grew, he realized, there was nothing taboo about the kitchen. So you'll find him in the kitchen here and there. He definitely won't go hungry at home. If there's food, he will cook. He will cook for himself. If you go there, he'll probably cook for you too. But I think it took a long time for him to get to that place, because it's only 2 or 3 generations ago that Africans were not yet colonized, and this is how we lived. Our lives, our livelihoods, our lifestyles were highly gendered, and there was no way that you could be in the kitchen as a man, no matter how much you wanted to. I think part of the kitchen has already been kind of demystified, because we've seen, men can cook. Probably some of the best chefs and some of the best hotels in this country have men cooking. So we know that men can cook. It's just trying to get men to cook at home that's been so difficult. Traditionally, also cooking or serving your husband or your family, it was a show of love, it was a show of respect. Serving your husband food was showing him that you love him and you respect him. And we are trying to say, hey, we can also show women in this day and age that, hey, we also love you, can respect you. But above all of that, cooking as a skill or cooking as a personal skill serves you as a person. It serves the person that has the skill. So, you don't have to do it for anybody. You can just do it for yourself. Just to cook for you, because it's a personal skill that will serve you over and over again. I really want to demystify and say, listen, there's nothing special about the kitchen. Anybody can do it. I understand that a lot of men will be like, no, but I'm the one who is providing the food. Do I also have to cook the food at the same time? Well, you can. There's nothing wrong with that, actually. We are already serving in another way. Cooking for your family or for wife, or for your wife is just serving them in a different way. You're already serving by providing. It won't take anything away from you by serving them in this particular way. There is nothing lower about serving them with food. It makes you a better husband, it makes you a better dad, it makes you a better grandfather, but above all, it's a skill that just makes you a better human being. You can think of Chinese, English, like everywhere in the world right now, men are in the kitchen. I think it's time for the African men to step up as well and be in the kitchen too. Hopefully I'm inspiring a whole generation of men and boys to be in the kitchen more and cook for their partners more and their families. Definitely I would love my daughter to have a partner that cooks for her when she comes from work and she's tired, and they can help each other in the kitchen. Definitely, I would love that, and I'm hoping that there is a man, or there is a generation of men that I'm speaking to that are really gonna take this message to heart. We are Africans, yes, but we don't always have to be doing what we've always been doing. This is a changing world. It's a changing global community, and it's time we get our mittens on and get in those kitchens.